Captain, you might be interested to out my left-hand window right now. I can observe the entire continent.
Roger, we copy.
When I was a kid, I was wondering kind of what's the meaning of life? Like, why are we here? What's it all about? And I came to the conclusion that what really matters is trying to understand the right questions to ask. If you consider two futures, one where we are forever confined to Earth until eventually something terrible happens, or another future where we are out there on many planets, maybe even going beyond the solar system, I think that second version is incredibly exciting and inspiring, and there need to be reasons to get up in the morning. You know, life can't just be about solving problems. Otherwise, what's the point? There's got to be things that people find inspiring and make life worth living.
For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, and to the planets beyond. Surely the opening vistas of space promise high costs and hardships, as well as high reward. So it is not surprising that some would have us stay where we are a little longer, to rest, to wait.
We are hearing from the Launch Control Center that there has been an anomaly on the vehicle.
When you had that third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up.
Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight and the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that. You know, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. You know, I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here, and I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
10,
Great.
9,
Go for it. What I'm trying to do is to make a significant difference in spaceflight and help make spaceflight accessible to almost anyone.
0. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, bottom dog.
I'm really quite overcome with emotion this day. It's kind of hard to talk, frankly. It's been 18 years working towards this goal. This event is something that all of humanity can get excited about. It's just a fundamentally positive, good thing. You know, I think we need more positive, good things in this world.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
This is hopefully the first step on a journey towards life becoming multiplanetary for the first time in the 4.5 billion year history of Earth.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And liftoff. Liftoff of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket.
Legendary like my birthplace, it's my time like my birthday. Born ready in the first place, it's a marathon, run your race. Don't stop, keep going, I'm up early, don't sleep on them. I'm living out my dreams and my legacy. For the life of me, I'm good, and I go get it. You don't got it, I came with it. Number one now, take the spot in the crown. I'm sucker free, game great and I'm on top. When it's free and my energy is on another level and I won't stop. No, I came in to leave a legacy. No one can change my destiny. Nobody. I'm standing up Legacy, that's what I came to leave. I am a dog, check my pedigree. Don't know what's next for me, plenty of checks for me, they come and check for me. Oh yeah. We moving the change. Not missing the exit, ain't switching my lane. Knew at some point things were destined to change. We'll marry a thing, still need a game on lock. I hit the shot at the end of clock. To me it don't matter win or not, we ain't losing. We don't make mistakes, we make moves. When your life is great, they make movies. Work way too hard, we ain't losing. Pedal to the metal, we ain't cruising. Anything in the way, we break through it. Legacy, gave me my heart, you call it luck, I say destiny. Sweet sign of success, like a melody. Legacy, was made at the bottom and now we on top. Now shifting my focus and changing my thoughts. The throne is mine, till I get it not. No one can change my destiny. Nobody. Can't believe a legacy.
There are so many things to worry about, so many things to be concerned about. There are many troubles in the world. These are important and we need to solve them. But we also need things that make us excited to be alive, that make us glad to wake up in the morning and be fired up about the future and think, yeah, the future's going to be great.
We have liftoff. All teams triage alarms.
Experimental rocket belonging to Elon Musk's SpaceX company has exploded. The 16-story high Starship rocket was being tested as part of the company's plans to eventually carry humans and cargo to the moon and Mars.
But according to Musk, the flight was a success. His sights firmly set, tweeting, "Mars, here we come."
Starship SN9's pointy end is up, the flamey end is down. We are getting awfully close to seeing this thing fly, guys.
We had, again, another great flight up to the 10-kilometer apogee. We demonstrated the ability to transition the engines to the landing propellant. And again, we've just got to work on that landing a little bit.
3, 2, 1, ignition. We have liftoff.
Becoming a space-faring civilization, being out there among the stars, this is one of the things that I know makes me glad to be alive. I think it makes many people glad to be alive. It's one of the best things.
Hello. Welcome to my stream. I'm not sure if you can hear the music in the background. Actually, I'll leave it here. Alright, so today we are watching SpaceX's Falcon Heavy ViaSat-3 Americas mission. Yeah, it's a pretty cool launch today. Launch window, they extended it to the end of the launch window, that being now 8:26. Before it was going to be, yeah, as it says over here, at 7:29, which is pushed by about an hour. SpaceX did go live, but they're not broadcasting just yet. So the mission today is going on at NASA Space Kennedy Center, Launch Complex 39A, Historical Launch Complex. It's where they sent the Apollo astronauts to the moon. But yeah, that's pretty cool. SpaceX acquired the launch complex a couple years back so they can start launching their Falcon 9s. That's also where they launched to the International Space Station. If we're looking at our countdown events, at around T-18 they start LOX loading for the second stage, and our next coming up, right now it's 8:14 Eastern Standard Time, so the next coming up event will be Falcon Heavy begins engine show. Yeah, engine show. Little history if you go to Everyday Astronauts upcoming launches. Provider SpaceX. Our payload mass is 6,700 kilograms, or about 1,500 pounds. It's really heavy. It's as big as a small school bus, around there. Now all boosters will be expended, meaning they're not gonna come back to land they will be thrown into the Atlantic Ocean, but it is a secluded zone, so no one's being harmed, and this is pre-planned. Instead of just making them go back, they're just gonna make them fall into the Atlantic Ocean. These are new fairings, and they will be recovered by Ship Doug. That's a pretty cool name. About 2,000 kilometers downrange. And yeah, so what does this mean? This is the second time in 2023 that SpaceX will launch a Falcon Heavy rocket, which is very rare. The rocket came online, I believe, 2019, and ever since we've only had 6 launches. It's not really a high demand rocket, it's more of a push heavy, kind of like the mission that's going on right now. Yeah, ViaSat Americas is a constellation satellite. This will be the third one, giving the name. What's it called? They actually were the first, SCS was the first customer SpaceX had for Falcon 9, which it's very cool. Yeah, the second stage is the same as Falcon 9's. First stage is combined of 3 different boosters. Basically, Falcon 9 boosters strapped together to create Heavy. It does have 27 engines. My math is right. Yeah, it's a pretty cool launch vehicle, and it is currently SpaceX's most powerful rocket until the Starship takes over. Now we can see our launch and deployment animation here. It will launch, and then it will do a gravity turn, following the parabola of the Earth. And then it would have booster separation. Those boosters are going to fall into Atlantic Ocean. And then the center booster is going to keep going, and then it separates for the second stage. Then we're going to have fairing separation. So you can see the fairings are actually going farther than all 3 boosters. Then We have payload deployment. So actually, Falcon Heavy's upper stage is actually going to take the payload all the way up to geostationary orbit, and then it's actually going to do another burn at the top of the perigee to circularize its orbit. So it's actually going all the way up to where the payload needs to go, instead of just sending the payload and the payload having to take care of itself, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's that. Let's just go into SpaceX's live stream and listen in.
Protection, so we will jettison the fairing as the second stage continues on its journey to orbit. We will be attempting to recover the fairing halves today with our recovery vessel named Doug. And speaking of fairings, today's launch marks the 100th flight of a reflown payload fairing. The ViaSat-3 Americas mission also marks the very first Falcon Heavy to launch with flight-proven fairing halves. ViaSat-3 is the first of 3 satellites to make up a new global constellation. So here's more about today's mission and payload.
Every mission starts with a vision. Ours is simple and powerful. Break new ground in bringing connectivity where it's needed most.
At ViaSat, we attack very, very, very hard problems. But the harder the problem, the fewer people that can do that, and the more interesting it is to us.
The story of Viasat as a whole is a great story. We enable connectivity.
We say connecting the world, but that has a number of different
now,
meanings depending upon the type of customer.
Like I said, our next coming up
an
event
end user
will be
like you or
Engine
me
Chill
sitting at home
for
needing
the
connectivity
first
to
stage.
do our homework or to the connected
Then we'll have the
passenger
strong
in
back
aircraft to
retraction,
the vice
which
president,
is
the
the
president
vehicle
of the United
umbilical
States.
device
Our
that
customers
actually
are global
connects
customers. They
the
go
oxygen,
needed,
liquid oxygen,
they want
and
to
the
have the same
liquid
type of
kerosene
capabilities
to the
everywhere they
vehicle,
go.
both upper
For
stage
over
and
35 years,
first
we've
stage.
worked tirelessly to get to where we are today. Creating satellites with
So
greater
that
capacity
retracts
to carry
to
more
that
data and handle higher speeds.
Whole
We've heard
rocket.
a lot of people say it's impossible to do
passed
what they're
it,
talking about doing at Viasat. You know,
yeah,
a
right now we're
terabit
just looking at
satellite,
information on
it's not going to happen.
the
And
mission
so,
customer. But yeah, then we'll have liftoff. Right at liftoff though, like a minute before liftoff, that's when the vehicle enters its own internal command, so it's taking care of everything and basically the go no go for itself. We have had 2 aborts for this mission, so I've attempted this twice. We have had 2 aborts for this mission. The first one was a weather in Florida. Right now is really, really bad. I mean, over here it's bad as well, but not as bad as Florida. There's some ground speed today. Hopefully that has died down and doesn't cause us to have another abort. And then the second abort was aborted by the vehicle at T-minus 59 seconds. We're not sure what it is yet. But yeah. We're at T-minus 6 minutes. And yeah, let's listen in.
Our ability to move that bandwidth around and really service those dense spots, that's what our customers are looking for.
It's not just evolving, it's really like a revolution, making these big leaps in technology. And that's cool.
if you look at the progression from Viasat-1 to Viasat-2 to Viasat-3, Viasat-3 was actually the smallest satellite we've ever built, despite the fact that it's got multiples of capacity.
We took things that were twice the size of a human and brought it down to barely the size of a shoebox.
The satellite design process is no longer buy parts and boxes and hook them up. What we wanted was to invest in technology that can really scale. It's not just a new satellite design, it's a new way to build satellites.
We've had to reinvent all parts of the system.
I want to thank everybody at Viasat for their role in what we're about to do today. And of course, I want to thank our partners at Boeing. We wouldn't be where we are today without their support.
I'm going to constantly be muting myself. I have a little cough. I really don't want the microphone to pick that up.
Today is the
so yeah, I'm just been muting myself.
With the ViaSat-3 constellation, billions of people can access more of the world, unlocking opportunity for everyone, everywhere, starting now.
Preparation for retraction, the clamp arms on the second stage will open, and then that truss structure next to the vehicle, known as the strongback, will start to retract away from the Falcon Heavy.
As you can see, it's starting to move. That is
you can see those clamp arms starting to open up underneath of the fairing on the second stage there.
That's a pretty cool equipment.
After this, the strongback will retract away from the vehicle. And
so when a rocket is smoking like that, that's actually very good. So this uses cryogenic fuel. So that means we chill the...
as well as routing for fluids and power.
We chill, or they chill the liquid oxygen and the liquid kerosene to its minimum before it freezes. So while that's heating up, once it's in the booster, it's actually heating up. So there's no way for them to keep it cool. Sorry. So they vent the excess boil off. That means when it starts to expand into a gas again, so they start boiling it off. So that's what creates those condensation clouds, which is very cool. As it goes up, you just see the trail of the clouds. We'll listen in now. Look at that booster though.
Looks like quite a nice day down there in Cape Canaveral. Weather is much more cooperative for this attempt today.
Indeed, much nicer. So you can see there the black structure with the lightning rod on top. That's actually what they use.
15 seconds, we will be completing LOX loading.
That is what they use to load crew into Falcon 9 for when the crew or any private missions are going up to space or the International Space Station. That is a very cool building. And we can see one getting built right now at Boca Chica, Texas at Starbase. All right, let's focus in.
Coming up next, we should see some white clouds venting from the TE
the white clouds.
This is completely normal and part of our closeout process. Following this, the vehicle will enter startup at T-minus 1 minute. This is when the onboard flight computers take control of the countdown. And shortly after the vehicle enters the startup phase, our LD or launch director should give the final go for launch. Let's listen in for those callouts.
So we should get a go for launch, hopefully, and then the vehicle should hopefully not abort itself at T-minus 59 seconds. This will be the last attempt for today. I'm not sure when the next backup window is. We'll listen in.
Falcon Heavy is in startup.
There we go. Falcon Heavy has just entered the startup phase.
So far, we've made it in farther, and I believe this is going to be a launch today. It's going to be a spectacular launch. Look at that sky. It's clear in Florida. And they are go for launch.
Confirmation of go for launch from our launch director. Falcon Heavy is ready to go to space at T-minus 37 seconds with the ViaSat-3 mission.
Now, they do have special microphones at the launch pad, so we get to hear the crackle and the roar of that engine here on T-minus 25 seconds. It's exciting.
seconds. T-minus 10, 9.
Love the camera shaking.
7, 6.
Gonna see ignition of the side boosters
4,
in the center.
3, 2.
There we go.
1. Engines full power. And
Liftoff.
Of ViaSat-3.
Wow.
Go ViaSat, go Falcon Heavy.
Look at that. Quite literally a sun in the nighttime.
Pitching downrange. M1D chamber pressure is nominal.
They do have onboard cameras, so hopefully they switch to those. Look at the tracking though. The crackle,
We are
the
30
roar.
seconds into flight under the power of 5 million pounds of thrust. Falcon
5
Heavy
million.
is headed to space. Now we are throttling down our engines on those side boosters, and that's in preparation for Max Q.
Power into telemetry nominal.
Max Q is the moment of peak mechanical stress.
Falcon Heavy is supersonic.
Peak mechanical stress on the vehicle, so we do slow down the vehicle to get through this period of high stress. And once we pass through Max Q, we will throttle those engines back up on those side boosters.
Max Q.
And great call out, we have passed through Max Q. So we're gonna throttle up those engines again on these side boosters.
Now,
you can follow along the telemetry on your left hand, on the bottom left hand of your screen.
beautiful.
See the speed and the altitude of
Look
the
at that
vehicle.
shot.
And some incredible views of Falcon Heavy in flight.
That's what I said.
Now 2 minutes into flight, we will reduce the thrust on the two side boosters again, and that will be to decrease the forces on the vehicle structure. And that's because the vehicle is now lighter as we're burning through the fuel on the vehicle.
Correct.
But the thrust will remain
It's
constant.
very loud.
And wow, that looks amazing on the screen. All three boosters burning
Really
right
does
there.
look beautiful.
Falcon Heavy is following a nominal trajectory.
And good call out on trajectory. Now again, we're gonna throttle down the side boosters, and then the next event coming up in about a minute or just under a minute will be BECO. That's booster engine cutoff. That's where we will
BECO,
shut down the engines on the side boosters, and then we will separate the side boosters from the center core. And as a reminder, we are not landing our side boosters or center
There
core
it
today
is.
due to
Beautiful.
performance needed on today's mission. And you can see on your right-hand screen, we do have a view of the separation mechanisms from the
Beautiful.
center core to the side boosters. And BECO, or booster engine cutoff, is coming up here in
Look
a
at
few
that
seconds.
shot.
MVAC engine chill has started.
BECO should be coming right up. Both side boosters shut down and letting go of the center core. There's BECO.
Booster engine cut off.
Side booster separation confirmed.
Perfect.
Both side boosters, FTS has safed.
Great views there. We had
You can see
BECO
them
booster engine
right
cut
there.
off,
Look at those
and
boosters.
we watched as those side boosters, and you could see them there on your screen, those side boosters falling
Vehicle is
away,
following a nominal trajectory.
falling away from Falcon Heavy's center core.
So they're actually controlling the fall, although it's they
Awesome
have
views. That's going to wrap it up for the side boosters today. The next event coming up
although
here
they do
in
have
about 30 seconds
no
or so is
fuel
main
left,
engine
they
cutoff,
are going to control it with RCS thrusters or cold gas thrusters.
followed by stage separation and then the startup of our second stage engine.
So in rapid succession, we're going to see MECO, main engine cutoff, stage separation, and then the second stage ignition, and then fairing deployment, all happening within very close proximity of each other. Look at that shot, though. It looks like a sun.
Main engine cut off.
There's that. Beautiful. Look how fast it's going.
Stage
Separation.
confirmed. Stage 1 FTS has safed.
Beautiful.
MVAC ignition.
Acquisition signal, Bermuda.
And we got some great views. We watched MECO as the engines on the center core shut down, stage separation,
Amazing.
and now you can see on your screen that the MVAC engine has ignited.
And look at that glow.
Now we are coming up on fairing separation.
And there's the ViaSat-3 Americas. So that's a
Fairing
third.
separation confirmed.
Now it's doesn't need the
also we're
fairing.
able to see and hear the call out that
Stage 2 is following a nominal trajectory.
Now they don't need the fairings anymore. The fairings are there to protect the payload as it ascends through the atmosphere, protecting it from all that aerodynamic pressure. But now that they're in a vacuum and in space, they don't really need it, and that's just excess weight, so they ditch it.
Now what you're looking at on your screen is a view on our second stage, looking aft at our MVAC engine. And our MVAC engine on the second stage is currently in the middle of its first burn. This burn has about 1.5 minutes left. After that, we'll have an additional 2 burns of our second stage engine before payload deployment. On your left-hand screen, you could see a map of the mission trajectory. And on your right-hand screen is a live view of the MVAC engine. As a reminder, our main payload for today's...
Stage 2 continues to follow a nominal trajectory.
Good callouts. Our main payload for today's mission is ViaSat-3, and we do have 2 secondary payloads on board as well from Gravity and Astranis. That is the Gravity Space 1 and Astranis's MicroGEO satellite. If you're just now joining us, we're currently in the middle of the first of 3 burns for this MVAC engine today. The next event coming up is in just under a minute.
I will be stopping just right after second engine cutoff 1, SECO 1, BICO, SECO, MECO, all these cutoffs.
Today's mission marks SpaceX's 28th launch this year.
28th,
227th
wow.
overall mission to date, and
Wow.
our 5th operational Falcon Heavy mission.
Wow. 6 because the first one was a test. And it was successful. So I will be stopping the live just shortly after SECO 1. It's going to be hours. Hours until the next
Now on your right-hand screen, you can see the MVAC engine
event.
Stage 2 is entered terminal guide.
So I'm not going to be here for too long.
Callouts there. On the bottom right-hand of your screen, you can see the speed of the second stage as well as the altitude.
Just down here.
And we are about 20 seconds or so from SECO 1. That's where we will shut down this MVAC engine and allow
and you'll
the
see it
vehicle
cool
to coast with
so
the payloads on
fast.
board.
So right now it's glowing red. It's hot.
Looks like we lost the signal, Cape.
And it's gonna cool down so fast. You're gonna see it turn back to black, I guess. It's coming up now. There is the SECO.
And you could see that MVAC engine beginning to shut down. We did hear a call out for expected loss of signal.
They did say that. That usually happens when they're
parking orbit.
That's amazing.
And we got confirmation of good orbit. So with confirmation of second engine cutoff and a good orbit, we'll be heading into a coast phase until our second relight of our MVAC engine around the T+30 minute mark. We'll come back to bring you live coverage of that second burn in about 20 minutes. So until then, sit back and enjoy the space tunes.
So yeah, so that was a beautiful launch. You can see, look, it's still a little glowing red, but it's cooling down very, very fast because it's like -200 out there. They are in a good parking orbit, and they're gonna have a couple more boosts. But until then, yeah, that was great. Ending the stream. This is the first stream I do, so I don't know. I'll watch it back definitely. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Take care and enjoy some tunes until I end the stream.